Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is looking at the combination of Sun in Leo and Moon in Gemini and how it influences an individual. I already have decided that I'm going to call this Never a Dull Moment because it certainly stands to reason that somebody with this combination would be highly entertaining and self-expressive. And probably very extroverted because both fire and air, which are represented here, are masculine signs, and masculine signs tend to be very outgoing. But you do have to look at the rising sign to see if that plays out, because if you have an earth sign or a water sign, there may be more of a subdued effect. And the reason for this is that the feminine signs tend to be more interior. And but certain signs specialize in being a little bit shy. I would say like a Cancer rising, Virgo rising. I don't know, maybe sometimes Virgo isn't like that, but um Pisces, signs like that. And a sign like Scorpio might be quiet, maybe not shy, but they're just like kind of, I'm not going to tell you who I am. I'm not going to reveal my cards. I have a poker face. It is highly possible, though, that a sun sign like Leo cannot contain that fire energy that it has, and that will overpower everything. It's very likely. So when I look at the sun and moon, what we're talking about here is and one more thing about whether or not you're extroverted. Maybe your sun is in the 12th house, and then you're a little bit more Piscean in that sense, or something like that. But the sun is the aspirational self. So what you aspire to be are, what would we call that? Your goals and things like that. And that is where actually the sun is the masculine element and the moon is the feminine element. These are just, people just focus on gender based roles. These are energies. So whether you're male or female, they manifest as energies. So with the sun, the concern is on making your mark on the world. Well, with Leo is a sign that I believe is highly talented, highly intelligent, and therefore I think Leo people in general are highly equipped to achieve success in the world. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that all the other signs are doomed to mediocrity. I'm saying that Leo has the right stuff. And for the world and how it is, Leo is well equipped because people who tend to be confident people who are confident will tend to be successful. Okay. And here's something to ponder, though. Let's say somebody is a sun in Pisces and they feel kind of insecure. That doesn't mean that they are not talented. It just might mean, or even like a Virgo sun sign, it might mean that they are not believing that they're perfect, that they have a certain humility about themselves that still reserves doubt that they can do what they think they want to do. So that doesn't mean that somebody is not talented. It just means that perhaps they are less full of themselves. And I'm not saying that to slam Leo. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of a joke because it sounds like I'm insulting Leo, and I'm not really insulting Leo, but I'm like, for instance, I'm a sun in Sagittarius. That's another fire sign, as is Aries. and they can be perceived as cocky because of that vantage point of the self as a means to express individuality in a creative way or what have you. So other people may look at that and say, oh, that person's full of themselves. Yes, full of themselves. That means that they are really tuned into who they are and they want to express it. So this certainly applies to people who are Leos. The creativity factor is going to be overflowing because the sun rules Leo, so that the sun is a creative force, if you think about it. So when it's in Leo, that is empowering that sign because it rules it. And when you add the moon in Gemini, you're getting that person who is probably pretty cheerful, I would say, overall. Of course, there are other factors that are going to sometimes destabilize the mood and make the person more of a haywire type of mood because Gemini is a very changeable sign. But in general, the person has an air moon, so they're going to like to keep things light. They don't want heavy emotions. So they just want to have fun. They want to socialize. They want to talk to people. They want to, laugh. And this is like one of the first things I was thinking about. This is so good for careers that involve creativity involving words, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and so with the moon position, the intuitive faculties that connect with creativity can really be tuned into things like, for instance, jingles, like catchphrases for advertising or something like that. That would be like something that would be very good for this combination, for promoting sales types of things. But also anything to do with artistic endeavors that are literary. And even I'd actually include the theater in the form of an actor, because Leo is associated with the performing arts, and with Gemini, there's just such a facile self-expression that it comes naturally to this person. And so I'm not sure about this. There are certain signs that I would say are the natural mimic. And sometimes I think they're water signs because it's almost like a form of channeling where you can really tune into certain accents and the nuances of speech. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gemini would fall into that category as well, because the moon is intuitive to begin with. But any profession, I mean, if you were a teacher, and especially an early childhood teacher, I think that some of you would really enjoy working with children, because Leo rules the fifth house, and children are a part of that house, and especially the younger children. And if you think about it, younger children are at an age where creativity is first and foremost in their life. And this is kind of that inner child that Leo exemplifies, that is always creating, is always playing. That's how Leo is, a very playful spirit. And Gemini adds to it. I always, like when I do Gemini monthly horoscopes or whatever, a lot of times I'll choose images that relate to fairies, because that's how I see Gemini. Sometimes they even look like fairies, where they have kind of big eyes, and there's just the airy quality, that's what I think of with the wings. So it's very important for you to have fun in life. And if you don't have fun, you're not doing it right. I mean, of course, that's true for all of us, but I think for this combination, there's a need for constant feeling that life is larger than life. In other words, Leo wants to elevate life. Leo doesn't want the mundane. So whether Leo is doing so materially by getting the best of the best, the cream of the crop, or whether it's the romantic side of life that Leo wants to be ostentatious with showing the world that they are in love and this is my partner. Everything is done with flourish when it comes to Leo. With the moon in Gemini, it's not that Gemini is nondescript. It's just that Gemini is a mental sign. So there's a detachment there. The water and the fire signs tend to be more emotional in their own way. With Gemini, with the air signs and the earth signs, they tend to be more detached. So when somebody is detached, they don't have a need to call attention to themselves, make hay over something, even if it's something positive like somebody's birthday. I mean, they do low-key kinds of actions, whatever the actions are. And so it can be this sense of, when we look at the moon sign, that the emotional nature is represented here. In Gemini, it's more mental than anything else. So although Leo is romantic, look at your Venus sign too to get like a feel for it, because I think it's possible to have Venus in Gemini if your sun is in Leo. But Venus is very close to the sun. I think it can only be 45 degrees from the sun. So it's one of those late, you'd have to have a late one sign, early the other sign type of deals. But yeah, if you have Venus in Gemini or Venus in Virgo, then you're going to be less romantic and more either practical when it comes to love, where you want to show somebody you care by doing something for them that is helpful. That's an example of Venus and Virgo. With Gemini, it might be just like telling them, communicating to them how you feel. But the thing with the moon in Gemini, it might be hard to actually do that sometimes because you like to keep your emotions light. So this could be a combination of a player, somebody who likes and there's got to be a female version of a player. I don't know if it's always assigned to men, and I'm certainly not picking on men. I think women can do this too, like a heartbreaker. But there's that love of romance too that we can't forget. Also, I have to say this, I feel like Leo is one of the most lusty, is one of the lustiest signs. So that could be exercising one's lust in an attempt to, and the person may not even know that they're doing this, in an attempt to really feel a sense of falling in love, that infatuation stage. So the person is always starting new relationships, but that passion from the physical side of things too. But the reason I'm saying player is that the emotional side can remain more detached. So that makes it much easier to kind of like have friends with benefits or multiple partners and, kind of like leave a trail of broken hearts behind you and things like that. So look at what you're doing when you're getting involved with people. Are you doing so in an above board way? or because you might not even know exactly why you are engaging in this. But I do feel that you will be able to find the right person for yourself if you are taking love seriously. And that is the key, because the moon in Gemini can be quite fickle. And that's another aspect where you just kind of like lose interest in somebody right away. Decide that, and that could be a defense mechanism, to tell you the truth, to keep yourself from getting too caught up in it. But sometimes it's just that ADD mind, but it's like an ADD emotional nature because the mind would be represented by Mercury, but it's kind of the equivalent of that, where the person has a hard time focusing on one person because they abhor monotony. Yeah, monotony. I was going to say monogamy. That would have been a Freudian slip, but I mean monotony. So if a relationship becomes too, what do you call it? Like predictable, then you might seek newer, I was going to say greener pastures, but actually something new. However, if you get involved with somebody who really keeps up your interest, and I would say especially intellectually, don't ever undervalue that as something that you need as a point of attraction, then you could probably mate for life, because actually Leo is a fixed sign. So in truth, there's a very strong part of yourself that craves constancy. So there might be a little bit of back and forth, even though Leo and Gemini form a sextile in terms of those two signs and how they, how compatible they are. They are, compatible. However, that doesn't mean that there are not contradictions, and definitely the more mercurial moon position, mean changeable, can really be at odds with that Leo sun sign that is fixed. So I think I've covered all the bases, because I mentioned areas at work. I think if you were an entrepreneur, you would clean up, because you could create a product and be able to sell it very, very well, because the moon is appealing to people's emotions. And even though Gemini is not really emotional, it is very clever. And a person with the moon in Gemini does understand emotions, at least can intellectually dissect them and convey the analysis of that dissection. So that can work well for somebody in sales and in promotion of products, because they know how to appeal to people psychologically, and they have like a great way of doing so. Also, although I don't know if I would say in particular that I would associate Leo with psychotherapy, but this could be a combination of somebody who is a therapist. Look at, maybe the sun is in the 8th house, and that would definitely add to that ability to understand human nature very well. There are other things in the chart too, but the moon in Gemini would make a great psycho analyst, because of that analytical ability. And on top of that, because the person could probably withstand hearing other people's problems. It wouldn't necessarily be that, it wouldn't sink in that much and affect them adversely, which is very important if you're going into that line of work, Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that, oh, and definitely a writer, but maybe especially a playwright, because the Leo energy has a feel for the theater, and that might be something where the person really can tune into, can picture how people act on the stage and write and be very good at writing, or even like a lyricist. I think that man that wrote a lot of famous songs in the 60s, what was his name? Van Dyke Parks or something like that. I think he is a Leo. And he wrote songs. I think he wrote Wichita Lineman and other songs. Okay, anyway. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.